Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Growing Up with Godzilla. My name is Donny Winter, and this is my show where I have conversations with Godzilla fans about how we've grown with the character and the franchise over time. We are in season 2 of the show, and I've had some really cool conversations with some awesome people. And for this episode, I'm going to have yet another awesome person joining me to have a great conversation. And we've been wanting to sit down and have a conversation for forever, and it's finally coming to fruition, and I'm super excited. So I would like to formally welcome the wonderful DewanCollex to Growing Up with Godzilla. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
I honestly can't complain. I'm super excited to have you here because, I mean, I,
Likewise.
yeah, I feel like we've been friends for a while on social media, and then I stumbled across your YouTube channel, and I was just like, I didn't know that you did YouTube videos and that you did unboxing videos. So that really made me super duper excited. I went back and I looked in it, and you started that YouTube channel in 2020. Was that kind of like one of your pandemic projects?
I guess coincidentally it happened, but I started before it really, I guess, hit Texas and countrywide. I'd I started collecting in May, like actual like official hardcore collecting in May of 2019 when King of the Monsters were coming out. That's when they started having the toys in the store. Um, my children's mother, we were together at the time. She collects Barbies and she'd been doing that for like a year. And I'm like, I've always wanted to get into collecting something ever since I was a kid. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And I started seeing these figures hit the stores, and I was like, okay, they're not the best quality. I remember Trend Masters growing up. Um, but I was like, I'm going to get what I can get. And then I hit up eBay, and then I found a new addiction. And so I was collecting, and the boxes were piling up. And she suggested, hey, I don't think there's a lot of people that do like Godzilla like unboxings. I mean, we found out there's quite a bit that do, but at least when she looked, she didn't really see but maybe a couple videos of Trend Masters, and that's what I was mostly collecting at first. So she was like, you should do a YouTube channel. We talked about for years doing like a YouTube channel. Like, I think we got like a Play-Doh set. There's like a lot of people that do like different kids videos, like for kids. So we were going to do something. My middle name is Dewan. My first name is Alex Alexander. It was going to be Alex Plays, and I was going to see what hot toys for like kids and then unbox review. But ended up not ever going with that idea. And she's like, hey, you should do a Godzilla channel unbox. Like, tons of people do Barbie, so I don't do it. Plus, I'm not comfortable. Yeah, I think you do good with it. So I waited a while, and it just happened. Sorry, long-winded answer to your question. It happened
No,
to
you're good.
be January or February of 20, where I finally did, the first videos. And then, yes, within a few months, that's when the pandemic started. But I pretty much went on hiatus whenever the pandemic really hit, because I did like a couple months, and then I took a real long break, like almost a year, because I was getting ready to move and I didn't want to unbox anything. And then when I moved into a house versus apartment, garage was a mess, and it took me a while before I could get it set up.
Right. Well, sometimes life happens, right? And you have to like kind of sideline projects for, but I think it's really cool because looking at your channel, like you're almost at like 500 subscribers and stuff like that. Like it's kind of taken off, which is kind of cool. Like, did you ever expect it to take off like this?
Um, in the beginning, no. Honestly, I'm still impatient. I really don't know. Like, I know there's not like a concrete like blueprint of, oh, when you're a YouTuber, it takes this long before it blows up. Obviously, we
Mhm.
know people that do this for years and years, and then it
My
finally blows
me.
up. And then we have people that do it for like maybe a few months or two a year, and then they blow up. And so
Mhm.
I've pretty much, I think, been my biggest obstacle. I've seen the channel take leaps of growing. I've obviously taken lots of hiatuses, and part of that is, like you said, busy with life. Some of it is, me mentally. I'm, I would get discouraged.
Yeah.
I would get frustrated because I promote the videos until they're strong enough where I have enough of a YouTube following and they start getting picked up an algorithm to show off to people. I'm in like dozens of groups, so I'll literally share it in like all the groups until I
Mhm.
can't. And I found which groups I can do that in and which ones I can't.
That sounds so much like my experience too, because like, in the past, like, I would have moments too where I would get, like, super discouraged. I think thankfully with this show, I have finally found, like, my my niche audience with regard to Godzilla stuff, but no, it does take time. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I finally hit how many subs like, I'm inching close to 4,000 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
But it's taken like 10, 12 years to get to this point, mostly because like I'm a hodgepodge of things. Like one moment I'll be talking about Godzilla stuff, the next moment I'll be talking about like current events. Like so I get with YouTube like sometimes that consistency or that inconsistency isn't always the best when it comes to drawing in audiences, right? But truth be told, for you, like, obviously none of this would be a thing had you not been a Godzilla fan in the first place, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would like you to tell me how you were first introduced to Godzilla. Like, share your story all the way from the beginning.
All right. So I wish I had like that iconic, like, oh, my first movie was this, and I don't remember. All I remember is somewhere around four or five. I was a huge dinosaur, fanatic. I first wanted to be a paleontologist. That was like the first thing I wanted to do when I grew up. So like I was very big into Jurassic Park. I feel like '90s is like best era to grow up in.
Mm-hmm.
All those things stay in my heart to this day. But dinosaurs are real big. We were having Jurassic Park come out. Then Beast Wars had Megatron, T Rex. So point is, I was really big into dinosaurs. My grandpa, my mom's dad, he's always been like a big monster, fan, and she got into monster movies because of him. So it was kind of like both of them got me into it, but I would say maybe more so directly my mom. She was just like, "Oh, you like dinosaurs? Check out Godzilla," and I'm like blown away. I wish I remember which movie. It was definitely Showa. At like 5 years old, whenever sci-fi would randomly have like marathons or however else we would get to watch them. But I was just like this big giant dinosaur and he breathes out fire. I was just like so three-headed dragon. I love dragons. I love like anything reptile, like anything dinosaur, dragon, reptile, amphibian. Like that's straight up my wheelhouse. So I was just like Rodan. I'm like, we got giant dinosaurs and dragons in here and they're destroying things. And it's been pretty much history since then.
It won you over immediately, right?
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
oh, I love that. There's just something so nostalgic about thinking about like the 90s and how we would just randomly catch Godzilla films on TV, especially. Like
Hmm.
it was always so inconsistent. We would not necessarily know what the scheduling was, and we would
Yeah.
always stumble across a new movie that we hadn't seen, and it'd be like this out of body experience. Like as a like I was like in middle school, like late elementary, middle school at that time, and I was just like, what like Titanosaurus, what so like it would just be such a really surreal experience for me, and I absolutely miss those days a lot. But no, I agree with you. The 90s, I we're kind of biased because we grew up in the 90s,
Yeah.
right? But like I do agree that the 90s was one of the best decades to grow up in because of that.
Yeah, I feel like biased or not, I'm like, how can you deny it? Like you had a perfect healthy balance. You had the shows, the music, the movies, the toys, the commercials, the video games. Like I felt like it was like a steady like diet of I'm like what a kid should be. Like it's hard raising my kids nowadays. Like all they want to do is do electronics, and it's like Yeah, I love, watching cartoons and play video games, but I also love playing outside. I love playing with my toys, and that was like another part that got me into Godzilla. Was the right time in the '90s, Trendmasters, and
Oh,
they roared, awesome colors,
mm.
the micro battle sets. Like, yeah, it's definitely dear to my heart.
I'm so glad that you mentioned the Trendmasters figures because I feel like those were kind of my gateway into collecting as well. I know like some of the videos that I think that's how I stumbled across your channel was through one of those Trendmaster unboxing videos.
Yeah,
And I never had like those small like cityscapes or anything
the
like
micro
that.
battle play sets.
Yeah, like, I was so like, anybody who has those, I'm so jealous because for some reason, I got, like, the sets of the kaiju themselves, but I never got those. So, like, I think I watched your unboxing of that, and I was just like, "This is so cool." Like, ooh. But, I guess, like, that's like, when you were introduced to those sets for the first time, like, what was going through your head? What did you gravitate to? Like, which figures, like, which, micro sets, like, which ones were you drawn to first?
Everything.
Good
um,
answer.
I do remember my first toy. It was the green roaring like 4 or 5 inch Godzilla, the one with the
Mm,
little red button right in the chest.
yep.
Roar 3 times. That was my first one. Um, my mom, had real tight budget, but I did somehow still get spoiled. I wasn't able to get everything, so it's like living through a second childhood being a collector. I was like, I never got this. I never even knew this existed on some of these Trendmasters figures. So, um, as a kid, though, what I can remember is I love the roaring aspect. That's pretty much all I ever really asked for with that line. They were like only $10. And
Yeah.
sometimes I've seen some of these stickers now. They've like were on clearance for like $7 or something. I'm like, it's wild because you can't get anything comparative today's age for that
The
price.
Trendmaster sets these days are so expensive. Well, because 'cause they're so I mean, they're kind of rare. Like, if you go on eBay, like, you'll find them, but they're so expensive.
Yeah, some of them, like the Space Godzilla one, that's like my most popular video
Mm,
because I was the madman that was like, "Oh, you have a perfect end box," and I'm like, I'm not the collector that's like, "Oh, yeah, it must be mint and you can't remove it." I'm like, "Nah, we're gonna open this bad boy and we're gonna have some fun." And that was one I never saw as a kid. The micro battles I had as a kid was Ghidorah San Francisco or San Francisco, if you want to say it the right way.
mhm.
And there was Biolante in Washington, D.C. And I know my best friend, he had the Hollywood Mecha Godzilla. And so
Oh.
when we would play like on the weekends, we would like put our stuff together. Um, I I don't really know how to say what I was drawn to it other than I just thought it was really cool that you could have like a miniature little city with figures and it was like interactive. You break buildings, shoot missiles. Like I just thought it was cool. The detail, there was like little smash cars on the roads.
You know
Um,
what's funny? I don't think any other, uh production company or anything like that has done something like this since Trendmasters. So I think that's another reason why like we love them so dearly is because like they're such unique sets, right? So I like you mentioned the roaring figures. I was so obsessed with those. My first one was the Mothra figure where
oh, okay.
like you would like flip a switch, wave your hand over the top and it would like its eyes would flash and it would.
Oh, you had the big, awesome
Oh, I
roaring one.
had it was huge. I ended up playing with it so much that I broke its wings off and I had to duct tape them. It Mothra looked rough. She looked
Rough, rough.
very rough. She looked but, like, I got so much play out of that figure, and then I ended up getting the Biolante one that would roar, and then the was it I think Mecha King Ghidorah, I got that one,
Mm.
but I never ended up getting the Godzilla one, but, like, I got so much play out of those figures. Of course, now that I'm older, I'm like, I wish didn't play with them so rough because, like a couple of them are gone because I kind of destroyed them
Yeah,
because I was a reckless child, but that's besides the point.
you
Now,
destroyed all the monsters. No,
I did. I
Badoosh.
did. Now, I will tell you, Mothra kicked ass. She kicked
Yeah,
ass.
she is a tough opponent. I'm guessing she's your favorite.
What? Me? Yes, she's my favorite.
No, I've seen one of your videos mention it, so I'm familiar.
I'm sure
Um,
people have heard me mention it at nauseum, so
so back to the micro sets. It was a real big thing in the '90s because you had Polly Pocket for girls, and then boys you had Micro Machines, where it was like the big car folds out in the city with miniature cars, which they
mhm.
recently brought back in the stores. I bought my son one a couple Christmases ago, and then they had Mighty Max. So
Yep.
Trend Masters are obviously the master of trends. They knocked out the park. The only company that did it after them was Playmates. I don't
Mhm.
know if you're familiar with Primal Rage,
Yeah, yeah.
the dinosaur arcade game. I actually have one of the micro sets, and I've been contemplating doing that as one of my next videos for that franchise.
You
And
should.
it's rare, and I never had this one as a kid. It's in box. Um, they're the only ones that did it, but you're right. It hasn't been repeated. I've been putting it out there. I don't know if anyone on Playmates has seen my videos. I swear, when I was talking about the snap-on armor, the battle armor, Godzilla, Rodan stuff, I was like, man, they should be bringing that today. And then we came out with those Titan Tech
Mhm.
Godzilla and Kong figures. I'm like, they're kind of reminiscent to that. And I'm like, yo, Playmates, if you're listening, I might give us a micro set with these new Godzilla ones. Well, Playmates are the ones that made Primal Rage figures.
Mhm.
So they've already made micro battle things. So there's no reason why they couldn't go back into their archives um, and do a micro set, hopefully for the new movie coming out next year.
You would think they
Um,
would, like, that would be real like, people would l eat that up. Kids would eat that up too.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm always curious with every Godzilla fan that I talk to because, like, I wanna know specifically as they've grown, which films that they've kind of really become obsessed with over the years. Like, obviously for me, like, my go-to films these days that I'm obsessed with would be Godzilla versus Biollante.
Mm,
Surprise, my number one
top
is not a
one.
Mothra one. Uh, I love Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Those are like two of
Yes.
my like huge ones for me. As you've grown, what have been your go-to Godzilla films that are your favorites?
Um, I have I love the whole franchise. I've seen the whole franchise twice through so far. Obviously some movies way more than twice, but I've seen at least everything twice. Um, I've been planning to go for a third time. I love like the suits, and I especially love CGI. So I am not one of the typical old school fans that are like, oh, I prefer watching the suits. I love watching CGI, so my go-to is the two newest Godzilla movies we got is Godzilla versus Kong and Godzilla King of the Monsters. I love seeing our favorite monsters reimagined with realistic today's graphics and able to do things that you couldn't really do with suits and puppets. So I do prefer those visually,
Mhm.
but I do still enjoy watching my old school ones. I love Hedorah. That's one of my favorite ones. I think that's a very solid movie. I love that
Absolutely.
movie. Biollante has always been one of my favorites. I saw it was it like a couple years ago when it was in Alamo Draft House.
Oh,
Um
yes.
it was good up until the end of the movie. It gets like really like silly towards the end of it and kind of like throws off like the whole movie, and I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not very picky. I don't like to be like a critical person, but I was just even like, oh man, this is kind of like silly. Like you have a really good solid movie, and then right at the end, it was just like, we gotta just hurry up and rush the end, and it just gets like real silly with like the chase scene, and And I'm just
Yeah.
like, and then like doing Biolante in the sky, but
It's like they
I do,
forgot, they were like, "Oh, crap, we have a narrative about this, like, this agent, we gotta figure this out before the
yeah.
end," like, in the span of 5 minutes.
One of the movies that's very enjoyable with like the human cast, like everything about it, is Ebera.
Oh, Ebera, Horror of the Deep. Oh, that's so
Yeah,
good. Yes.
and then Son of Godzilla.
Mhm.
Um, those suits of Godzilla are probably my least favorite to look at
Yeah.
visually, and not very exciting monsters. In my opinion, there we have a giant shrimp, which is commonly referred to as
Mhm.
a lobster, but ebi means shrimp in Japanese, and ra is monster.
I did not
Um,
know that, wow.
Son of Godzilla is just Kumonga, a giant spider, and then um, Kama, however you say it, Kamakuris,
Mhm.
Kamakuris. I don't know how you say it, but
Either
you
or
know,
works.
yeah,
So, if you were to pick a favorite kaiju, aside from Godzilla, of course,
yeah,
because that's the easy answer for everybody, right? So, if you could pick a favorite kaiju and a favorite human character from the whole franchise, which ones would you pick and why?
Easy Ghidorah. Um, I don't have any like complex, cool answer other than I think Ghidorah is awesome visually. He's a three-headed gold dragon from space, got gravity,
Right?
electrical beams. I'm just like, what's there not to like? So he's like equally my favorite Godzilla. I don't like one over the other. They're both my
Both
numero
up there at
unos.
the top.
Yeah. Um After that, I'd say Biolante, Space Godzilla, and Mecha Godzilla. So pretty much every version of Godzilla except for Ghidorah, because we know Biolante's part Godzilla, Space Godzilla
Right.
is
I
part Godzilla,
you
and Mecha
know,
Godzilla is a robot Godzilla.
I feel like Space Godzilla is so underrated.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
feel like
is it because of the film? Like, do you think people just kind of are a little hypercritical of the film, or is it justified? What is your opinion on that?
um I think a lot of it has to do with the film. I'd have to watch it again to give like a real fair analysis. I know the Heisei movies, are kind of wish-washy with people. They usually
Mhm.
talk about the story's not as good.
And I would
I,
fight them
yeah,
because I love those movies.
I like. There's like I equally like a decent amount of movies from each era, and I'm with you with the Tokyo SOS when you're talking about favorite films.
Yes.
Uh, the both of the Kiryu saga because that's my
Mhm.
favorite version of Godzilla and Mechagodzilla.
Oh,
Um,
really? I love
y-
that.
yeah, they're my favorite designs. Um, with human character, we'll go to Tokyo SOS. I don't know the actor's name, but old school guy from the very first Mothra, because Tokyo SOS is kind of like a Mothra
Oh,
sequel. Um,
oh, Hiroshi Koizumi, I believe that's his name. He played Dr. Minami. There we go. Whew.
okay.
Whew. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Shinichi Chujo. People are gonna be like, Donnie, you are not a Mothra fan. What in the hell is the
Nah,
matter with
man,
you?
you don't gotta know all the details to be
I
a fan.
know. So back to your favorite character. So that is your favorite character, played by Hiroshi Koizumi.
Yeah, just the actor. I don't know. I've always liked him. I'm just I can't really explain it. It just I'm just drawn to certain people.
Right.
Like I mean, visually.
I mean,
You
he's a
know,
talented actor too.
yeah,
And the fact that they kind of used him to kind of build that bridge between Tokyo SOS and like the Showa era, that was really cool,
yeah. I
right?
thought so as well. Um, I really liked his role in I can't remember. I think it's Raids Again.
Mhm.
Is that the one where he's leading the pilots and they get the
Yes.
avalanche on Godzilla? Because
Yeah.
yeah. So I really liked
Don't
him in that
I don't
movie.
know that character's name because
Yeah, see,
that's probably the Godzilla movie. Don't eviscerate me, everybody. That's probably the Godzilla movie I watched the least.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Raids Again. I actually like it a lot.
I've learned to appreciate it more than I used to. But I think it's just the pacing of the film that kind of loses it for me, but that's just me. It's just me. So,
No, well, you're not alone. And then I'd say newer character. We haven't really had anyone to stick with too much in the new movies, the MonsterVerse, but I like Sarazawa, but he's
oh
not
yeah.
with us anymore.
I was
So,
so mad that, well, I mean, I understand why they made the decision to kill off that character because it was a very, very like emotional, poignant scene. But like, I feel like he really carried the MonsterVerse
mhm,
very well. So
yeah,
I don't know.
they could have did that with Bryan Cranston's character, but they decided to kill him off and like early in the movie. I was like, dude, what are you
I
doing?
know that's one of my big gripes about. Like, I love 2014, but that was one of
Yeah,
my gripes about that film. Um, a more okay, so we're on to a more serious question now. Obviously, we've grown as fans over time and we've been shaped differently, you know, by the character. How has Godzilla shaped you into the person you are today?
it's helped me stay like mentally young and in touch with creativity and imagination. um I mean, growing up very big into Godzilla, we had the 98 film, which
Mhm.
I loved and hated as a kid, and
Mhm.
as a grown up I'm more critical of the movie. But after that, in America, we didn't really get any more Godzilla media. I think it wasn't till like the early mid 2000s, maybe I could be mistaken, that we got access to the Heisei movies and everything else that followed after that. So pretty much the 16-year hiatus here in America, you have 98 and then we have 2014. As I grew up, it kind of lied dormant, like Godzilla wasn't actively like involved in my life, so it just kind of went in the back. And once that movie was coming out and I was seeing the trailers, it like the excitement started surging outside of me, and it's just straight up nostalgia. I was like, oh yes, and I'm like, it's a realistic, modern day Godzilla. It looks so cool, and I was very excited. Then we had the 5 year gap, and that's ever since then I've not gone back. I've been full on Godzilla, supercharged up nonstop. With King of the Monsters. Yeah, I'm gonna add some puns in there.
I That was a great little Easter egg there. I loved it.
I appreciate it. And so Godzilla for me, it brings fun and excitement because ever since 2019, like that little kid in me is never been covered up again. Is full blown bigger fan than I've ever been because I've actively collect, watch things, watch it again, keep up with all the news, connecting with other fans that we didn't really have access to growing up. I hear a lot of people around my age. It's like growing up, it's like, oh, I was the only one that liked Godzilla. I didn't
Mhm.
really know other people that like Godzilla, so that's like part of why it went dormant for me because it's like, all right, well, if I'm the only one that likes this, then I don't have anyone to share the passion with. And then if we're not getting toys anymore and we're not getting movies and
Mm.
shows, it just kind of, disappeared.
Yeah.
So the thing I would say, how it helps me now, the person is, it keeps me excited. It keeps me, engaged. Like I want to like network and make friends online. I love to collect everything. They're releasing so much that it's hard to even keep up with. So I'd
I,
say it just
ugh.
keeps me excited and young.
I love that you mentioned the importance of sharing the passion with others
Oh
because
yeah.
one universal thing that I've discovered through doing this show and having a number of guests on is that one thing that many of us have bonded over will is the fact that we all felt isolated as Godzilla fans because we
Hmm.
were always like that one person who liked Godzilla. Nobody else was, either, like, super into it or they maybe looked down on us for liking Godzilla, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I do this show actually because, like, I one person was like, "Donnie, you're in your mid-30s and you still love Godzilla, like, when are you growing out of it?" And
Man.
I'm just like, "Excuse me? Like, I'm not like, who said that I had to grow out of anything? Who says that any of us have to grow out of the things that we love, right?
Absolutely.
The world is already heavy enough as it is. Why not enjoy and celebrate the fandoms, the music, the characters that we love because they are our escape. And when we are able to do that networking like you mentioned and we're able to like share in that passion with other people, like I think that's kind of validating that inner kid, you
Mhm.
know, that never had that, you know, a long time ago.
Yeah,
Ooh, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps now. Ooh.
yeah. Yeah, I got some chill with you too. That actually spawned more idea of how to elaborate further
Yeah.
on the answer is I wouldn't be making friends with like a handful of people I've started to be friends with online if it wasn't for Godzilla. So it's building actual relationships with people, sharing a passion with something, and I lost the other thing. I do that a lot.
That
I
happens. If it
have so
comes
many
back.
thoughts. I have so many thoughts in my head. I just sometimes lose them. But yeah, I mean, it. It's cool to have passion into something, and you get an escape.
Yeah.
You get something to look forward to, and yeah, I
No, I
guess
love
that'd be
that.
about it.
I love that. I think that answer is perfect, like,
Appreciate it.
because, like, that imagination I think the big issue with becoming an adult for a lot of people is that we lose that passion for imagination, right?
Hmm.
It almost becomes like we're so struck by reality that a lot of people just aren't capable of just losing themselves in their imagination. And I feel like Godzilla has that way of just like doing world building to help us kind of like think of a world outside of this one. And I'm sure many could make that same argument for other fandoms as well, depending on what
Oh,
they're.
definitely. Off topic, at least franchise wise, that relates to what you're talking about with sharing passion with people
Mm,
and what you're saying about your imagination and escaping. I'm a big Spider-Man guy,
mm,
and I absolutely love the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales.
yeah,
Um, and I watched the new one by myself, and I was like so like excited and like kind of like frustrated, I guess I'd say, that no one else saw it that I know. And I don't know anyone else that like likes as much as me. And I was like, I want to talk about the movie, but I can't spoil it to anybody. I don't have anyone to talk to. And like a couple days later, I went and watched it by myself again because I was like, I need to get that fixed. And then finally, I saw it a third time, and I got to watch it with my children's mom, and was finally able to talk about it and share the joy of the movie. So I mean, I've always been into like movies and shows, and I one of my aspirations is to still, get into acting. However, whenever that gets to happen, but yeah, I mean, whether it's Godzilla, it's Ninja Turtles coming up, Mortal Kombat 2 is in the works right now. Godzilla, I love to just get into that world and just attach to the characters and let it inspire me and feel good so I can translate it to the, real world of, sometimes it gets a bit mundane and
yeah. I love that you mentioned that you are passionate about eventually getting into acting. Can you imagine how cool it would be to act in a Godzilla film?
oh yeah, that's one of my top goals. I have very little experience with the acting thing, and in South Texas where I'm at, it's pretty limited. But I'm sure at some point when things line up, because everything's about timing, um, I'll get to relocate and maybe I'll find something online. And I think there's a little bit of stuff starting to happen in San Antonio. It's about
Hmm.
2 hours away from me, but I'll just be patient. focus on my channel, see where that leads me.
It
So,
all starts somewhere, right? And it could
of
start
course.
simply by having a dream or just even a conversation. So we've already talked a bit about collecting. So obviously that's the premise of your YouTube channel, right? Like you collect the memorabilia, you do a lot of unboxings and reviews and commentaries. So I have a slightly different question for you than I would have normally asked before.
Okay.
What figure are you most proud of to have in your collection?
Um, Probably have a couple answers for you.
Go for it.
First one off top, it would have to be the Space Godzilla Micro Battle playset from Trendmaster because it's known as the Holy Grail. The thing is always flirting with usually $1,000 whenever people sell it on eBay. Um, I've got some pretty high a couple offers on my channel, not even soliciting it. People never follow through because YouTube, all you can do is comment back, and there isn't any way to like direct message anybody. And who
Mhm.
knows if people even get notified when you comment back. Um, but I'd say that one, that was probably my biggest thing when it comes to Godzilla. With Trendmasters, especially figures, I like a couple. I don't have it next to me, but I like they're on my channel already. A couple of the figures I really enjoy. It's not like they're like, oh, this is my holy grail. But I really like the Gashapon
Mm.
Biolante. It's like a bigger one versus the little ones in the ball. It has a light with the stomach. I really thought that was a really cool figure. I like the detail, and then I love the SH Martial Arts Mecha Godzilla from
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Kong. I love like the articulation with the tail, how metallic, shiny the paint is. Like Mecha Godzilla in that form took a minute to warm up to, but the figure has definitely made me like really love it and probably launches it to probably my second favorite Mecha Godzilla design. Um, I, I'd say once I actually get it, probably by Christmas time, my to cap off the answer or multiple answers to your question. There's a Prime One Studio. There's a Godzilla bust
Mhm.
um, where the back is like a cave and it's like a statue of Godzilla, and the front is like, his neck and head, and it
Oh,
glows.
yeah.
It's like $1,600. Um, I have a few big statues, like one third scale, but they're Ninja Turtles or Mortal Kombat, and I haven't got to get a super big expensive Godzilla statue. I'm like, all right, I gotta get something that's like over 1,000 because there's like Spiral Studios keeps releasing awesome things. They're always like
Mm.
a couple thousand. Prime One does it. They have that big diorama. That's what my goal is, but I'm actually in a payment plan for that Godzilla bus. So that will probably be my prized Godzilla collection once I finally have it. It's gonna be overwhelming doing that unboxing because it's gonna be
Oh,
so
that's gonna be
big and
it's gonna be overwhelming, but probably super emotional too.
yeah.
I know it would be for me. That is so cool, though. I'm excited for you. I'm excited
Appreciate it.
for you. I do have one final question to wrap things up. Actually,
Oh no.
kind of two questions, actually. So I would like to know a little bit more about like what if you had like creative control over the franchise of the Godzilla franchise? What would you add to the franchise that we've not seen yet?
Um, I actually had a couple ideas of this probably about a year ago. I haven't gone more into it. I don't see why we couldn't have like more than one Godzilla universe at a time. And
Right.
so I feel like you could appeal to different fans. So one is I would like a hyper realistic, dark, almost horror like Godzilla. It would be like an origin story again. I mean, Japan's doing that again with the movie coming out this year, which I'm
Mm.
excited
Oh,
for.
me too.
But I would like it where it's like I'm not that big onto Godzilla. against the military, it's not like that interesting to me. I like to
We've
see him
seen it
against
so many
another.
times.
Yeah, I like to see him against another monster. Yes, those movies are still good. I enjoy them, but I have a lot more fun seeing more than one big monster. So I would like to incorporate something where the first film isn't just Godzilla against the military. Maybe like the first half of the movie, and then you introduce this other threat. But I would like it to be like almost like there's like it's very dark. You know, like people liked how 2014 was dark, and then some people complain how the MonsterVerse has gone too sci-fi and stuff. But
People
I'm
always
talking
have
about
something
like,
to complain about.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, Showa, like that's like Godzilla's gold era, and it got very silly. I mean, like I'm wearing the Jet Jaguar shirt, and we know how silly that movie was, and it's still a great classic. But
Absolutely.
I would like it like some gore. Like I would like to see like Godzilla like really terrorizing the city, and you're getting like personal angles, and you're seeing people like terrified, and I feel like if Godzilla is radioactive, I'm like, shouldn't he be leaving like a wake of radiation everywhere? And we've seen
Mhm.
what radiation actually does to people, so it's like he shouldn't be like, you know, when he rises up out the water and King of the Monsters, and Russell like sees him, and Godzilla like is staring at him, and then he shoots his blast in the, or even in Godzilla versus Kong, where he, whenever the blast goes in the apex in the beginning of the movie, and then like it blasts those two guys right next to him, and then you see the Mecha Godzilla. It's like, how could you be that close to atomic blast and you're not even scathed? Like you're still alive. Like I
Right.
would like to actually see, like, the whole reason Godzilla was made was it was a tragedy, and for some reason America censored Japan where they couldn't express what happened in World War II, so they had to
Yeah.
get creative, and they decided to make a giant, you know, dinosaur lizard that's mutated from radiation, destroy the city like the actual bomb did. Thank God we didn't get a octopus like Godzilla originally might have been, was a giant
Right.
octopus,
Right.
or an actual gorilla whale hybrid, Gojira
Right.
meaning. But that movie was dark, and it brings a tear to your eye. You know, you see the kids, and a lot of the true fans, or pretty much like all the fans at least that have seen it, always love Shin Godzilla and 54 because it's got a dark, serious tone, and it's not like so silly over the top. And so, as an American, you know, I feel like we don't quite get the grasp. Sorry, this long-winded answer. We
No,
don't
no, no,
quite
this
get
is
the
good.
grasp of what Godzilla really means to the people when that movie was made. It was their way
Absolutely.
of coping and expressing, look what we went through, you know, the world, look what happened to us, and, you know,
Mhm.
because of, you know, y'all. And it was a serious, it was the dangers of nukes and radiation. And I feel like when America makes these movies, they don't ever, they just look at it as like, oh, he's like a giant, like, superhero type of character,
Yeah.
and there's not like, I feel like the tonality is missed. So I would really like to put homage into, we get a very dark and serious tone of, all right, we messed around and we either woke up Godzilla or we mutated him, or maybe a combination of both, and he came and he punishes the city and everyone for, like, you know, yeah, I'm protector of Earth, you're destroying it. And I would like to
Yeah.
really put that message on how important it is to take care of the Earth and staying away from, you know, nuking and stuff like that, but still incorporate like what it turned into was like giant monsters fighting and sci-fi entertainment action. But I would like it to just be like real dark and almost kind of like horror movie, you know, where there's, you might see some kind of graphic scenes like, oh wow, you know, like not really any comedy to it. And
Mhm.
another idea I haven't put too much thought into is more like a fantasy style of like Godzilla, like I don't know, it might sound kind of silly without putting much like details into it, but kind of like almost like a Godzilla multiverse, but like different versions of Godzilla, like
Mm,
existing at the same time, but being more like on a elemental, like they each have their own purpose, like with keeping order and stuff,
interesting.
and work with each other. Like I don't know. The best I can think of is like something like you'd see in animes or something. Like
No, I think that's a really unique idea. All of the ideas have been really phenomenal. And
thanks.
people out there listening, employ this person to do the acting or acting
Yeah,
in
don't take
those
my ideas. No.
Oh, if they do, give credit where credit's
Yeah.
due. Cut that
Give
paycheck.
me a little bit of this too. Some money.
Do you have any advice for Godzilla fans who may be new to the franchise? Or any advice to fans who might be interested in starting their own YouTube channel, starting collecting, any one of those? Feel free to answer all or any.
It just depends on what kind of person you are. I've actually given advice a couple times to people when watching it. I feel like it's kind of tough to watch the older movies as an adult, like brand new into it, because I feel like, as a kid, I didn't really notice like how cheesy things were with
Mhm.
the old school movies. And as an adult, I can watch it and I can kind of laugh at it, but I still take it seriously and I respect it. And I'm just like, like sometimes, if my kid's mom is like watching, she might kind of laugh. I'm like, hey, I was like, that still look kind of good though, like with the little toy models that are blowing up and stuff. I was like, hey, I was like, you gotta admit, I was like, it still looked
For the
decent today,
time,
and
yeah.
and some of the suit stuff still looks good. Um, but some of it does look cheesy, like the fight scenes, it being silly looking. Um, but since I have such a love there and I know I'm again, I can still appreciate it. And I feel like if you're coming into the franchise and you watch like the dope new CGI movies that we have in the Monsterverse, you might not be as open to watch any of the older stuff because you're gonna see some bad acting. If you're watching English dubs, that's terrible. I like watching Japanese
Me
and just
too.
read subtitles. I'm used to reading captions because I have a loud house, and if I want to actually watch stuff when people are awake, then I just used to reading what people are saying because I can't
Yeah.
always hear. Um, but some of the stories are a little wacky, um, but I would just say, you know, if you are open and you really like them, if you really like Godzilla, the character, and you want to know more about it, you just got to go into the old movies open minded. Like you,
Mm,
you have to not expect it to be like grade A cinema. You gotta just look at as these are sci-fi movies. They're fun. Some of them have good messages, like Hedera. It's like all about taking care of the earth, polluting too much and stuff. Like there's like some really good stories in a lot of the films, I feel like. So you just gotta go open minded to it and not judge it on, oh, this looks cheesy, or oh, this acting or story might be a little bit off. You just have to really dive in and enjoy the monster scenes. I mean, that's why we come here for, and that's usually the best part. And when it comes to inspiring a new channel, I mean, I'm still working through it now. You gotta have fun with it, and
yeah.
you gotta be patient with it, and engage with people. If someone comes at you like hating and negative, don't like match the energy. Like I usually always just, I want to have a good reputation, if I'm going to be this public figure, trying to rise up. And so also I'm growing, so it's like, well, what did you not like, what do you think I can do better? Or it's just like, you don't have to like what I'm doing or like it, but you don't need to be rude about it. Like,
You're much
and
more mature than me. I'd be like, "Thanks for the view."
Things I've had to remind myself with doing the channel is stop focusing on like the big picture, enjoy a moment. I mean, the whole thing at the end of the day is if I'm gonna unbox this stuff one way or another, then it's like, why not put it on camera? It could help a few people, and as little as the channel is, I mean, it means a lot to me when I get like the one person, like I'll get people comment on the channel when I'm haven't posted in like months, but I'll still like engage when I see comments pop up, or when I'm
Mhm.
actively doing videos. Someone's like, "Yo, thanks so much for this review. Like, you're like totally underrated. You're one of the best ones out here. I couldn't find a review for this, or you're the best person I've seen to review this. And so, like, thanks very much." Or it's like, "Oh, where do you get this figure?" And I tell them where to get it, and like, "Oh, thanks." And then I just got mine, and so like, I just look at it as like I'm helping people out. I
Yeah.
mean, it all started with, oh, why not unbox it on camera and see what you can do with it? And then it was just like, well, I guess I'm kind of mock reviewing stuff. And I'm like, well, I guess it's not even really mock review. I am talking about the figure and pointing out stuff. And, I was surprised people were like, you know, loving, the reviews, because I'm hard on myself and
Me
I
too.
think a lot, and I'm just like, I don't know how I did on that video, or I don't think it's that good. And then I'm hearing the opposite, and it don't matter to me if it's one person, two people. I'm just like, you took the time to watch it and it actually resonated. It wasn't just entertaining. You actually got something out of it. So I'm always looking to help fellow collectors or get people into collecting. So if you're looking to do this or however you want to do it, just be humble, nice, and have fun, and take it a day at a time.
Oh, I love that. That's really empowering and excellent advice. Being petty like
Thanks.
me is not always the right way to go, but sometimes it can be fun. But so everyone, if you would like to go subscribe to DewanCollex's channel, the handle is right below. Definitely, everyone, go subscribe to the channel, 1000%. Otherwise, like, Dawn, it's been wonderful having you on. This has been such a great, wholesome conversation, and just know you're always welcome back as well.
I'll be back anytime you want. I really appreciate it. I've had fun. I wish the time wasn't ending. One of my biggest favorite things to do with my friends, anybody, whether it's acquaintance, I love to talk, man.
Me
Like
too.
I could just sit here and talk for hours, and especially when we're talking about common interests, that's like real exciting and fun. Like I understand we gotta wrap it up. Oh, yeah, I'm at like 455 subscribers. I've been advertising for like a year, year and a half, maybe almost 2 years. 1,000 subscribers. I'm giving away a SH Monster Arts Mecha Godzilla from Godzilla vs Kong, brand new sealed. I bought
Ooh.
mine, reviewed it, and I had the other one. It's been sitting here, collecting dust. I'll wipe out the dust every now and then. It is humid here in Texas, and I'm in a garage, so box might be a little swole, not pristine, but it's still brand new, free figure. That's where you just gotta be consistent. That's the other tip with your last question. You gotta just be consistent. You gotta post on a weekly basis,
Yeah,
and
it's true. Believe I've learned that the hard way myself too. I get that. But well, everyone, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us again
definitely.
today. Go subscribe to our channels if you've not yet. Click like, share the video, circulate it on social media if you can. And don't forget that Growing Up with Godzilla premieres on the first and third Sunday of each month. Keep standing tall, Godzilla fans. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Peace.